Oh my God. Well, essentially, we've been focusing the teaching more so on safety. Inserting the NG tube is one part of it, and everybody feels really comfortable with that part of it. So the maintenance and the continuous maintenance of it is kind of the focus here. Essentially, the best way I can do that is to give some examples. Essentially, when we're walking into a patient's room, we want to make sure they're in the right position and that we're assessing it from that point on. I had a nurse to give me a bedside report, and she said, "Oh, he's had a minimal output," but when I checked the suction, it wasn't connected. So making sure that it is everything is working properly, or the top has been cracked. A lot of times we'll see it with the pyramids. It's easy because that's more of a continuous thing. But just making sure everything is connected, or maybe one of the caps have come off and it's cracked. So that's just a big thing. I also had a nurse to say it's filling up, so be careful, the canister. And essentially it was on continuous, opposed to low intermittent suction. So making sure the suction is set up properly, especially per the order. Also, a lot of times we walk into a patient's room and then the marking is here and it's kind of hanging on by a thread there. Paying attention to those areas. I had a nursing report to say, "Oh, the patient's really agitated. He was a contracted nonverbal patient and he had been agitated." She said, and he pulled down his tube, so I reinserted it and continued his tube feed. I said, "Well, did you get a follow-up KUB?" And she's like, "Well, no." And essentially when we got the follow-up KUB, it was in the wrong place. And essentially he was agitated because he couldn't breathe. So paying attention to those nonverbal cues. Something very recent happened where I had a patient and then report the nurse said, the patient is complaining about pain. The NG tube is causing him pain. He said his nose hurts. She said, "Oh, but it's an NG tube. It's going to be uncomfortable." And when I went in to assess the patient, essentially he was telling me that his face hurts, his nose hurts here. And they're kind of moving away at some of the facilities with the tape, and they're doing more of the bandages with the wings. And, everybody can't necessarily tolerate the adhesives, but essentially when I went to assess behind the tape, he had a huge hole, literally, that was starting to form. And also they had been using his CPAP machine over the NG tube. So making sure we're assessing skin integrity and also listening to those verbal and nonverbal cues of agitation, because that's an indication that something could be going wrong. I had one of them he was able to express what was going on with him, while the other wasn't. So that's just a big thing. And documentation, making sure we're documenting the output and the adequate placement and different things like that. I had a nurse to say that it was in the right near, and it had been documented that it was in the right near, and everybody was documenting on it, but the entire time it was on the left near. So I said, "Well, hey, did you take it out and have to put it back in?" He's like, "Oh, no, it's always been there." So essentially just kind of paying attention to that. We all work with each other. We're a team. Nursing is 24 hours. So anything we can do to help our counterparts essentially will help create a safer environment for the patient to be able to get adequate care that they can, progress and go home. So that is my spiel, guys. Do anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to practice? Okay. Thank you. Awesome.